Namaste friends, and welcome to Refeel Yoga. Today I'm going to be sharing with you an amazing yogic practice for purifying and balancing the inner energies. Also for activating and awakening Ajña Chakra, the third eye center. I'm also going to be giving you a few tips and secrets for channeling and redirecting the energies within the body. So make sure you stay to the end to receive that information as well. This video is coming as a response to a few students who commented during my 30-day pranayama program breath routine that they found one nostril was often plugged or they were having difficulties to breathe through the nose. These practices will also be highly valuable to everyone who's joining Clele's upcoming 10-day program for awakening Ajña Chakra. Let's get into it. The first practice we're going to cover is known as Neti, specifically Jala Neti, which refers to a yogic practice for washing the sinuses with salty water. And I know it sounds weird, and to be honest, it is quite weird at first, but once you get familiar with this practice and you experience the clarity, both within the sinuses and within the mind, it's such an amazing practice. Jala Neti helps to clear the sinuses, to purify the energy channels, especially in the face and head. It opens up any blocked nostrils, awakens Ajña Chakra, and leaves the mind feeling calm, clear, and open. It can be used as a daily yogic practice, or if you're sick, have a cold, congestion, or any sort of inflammation or allergies. For such a simple physical practice, it has amazing energetic effects. To facilitate this practice, you're going to want a Neti Pot. So this is a Neti Pot. This is one example of a Neti Pot. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and colors and everything. You can usually find a Neti Pot for sale at yoga studios, maybe like a health food store, or you can order them online from Amazon quite inexpensively. If you want, I'll leave a link in the description so you can check out some examples or suggestions. Neti can also be done with a cup of water, but it's not nearly as effective. So if you want, you can try like that, but if you can, it's a well worth investment to get a Neti Pot. So once you've got your pot, all you need now is some salty water. How salty and what kind of salt you use is important. We never want to use table salt. Okay, table salt is just purified sodium chloride, usually with iodine added to it. So it's essentially salt that's stripped and deprived of all of its mineral content and all of its prana. And that added iodine will burn the nasal passage. So no table salt. Instead, we want to use a natural rock salt or good quality sea salt, as these are both rich and diverse in minerals and real energy. And how much salt should you use? If you look online, you can find all sorts of very specific recipes, this many spoons to that much water, but it really depends on how much water you're using and the saltiness of the salt that you're using. I tell you, every time we travel to a new country and we buy a different type of salt, it's always an experiment to find out how salty it is. So I prefer to go with the old traditional method of tasting it. Mix your salt and water together and give it a taste. It should be just slightly saltier than your tears, okay? The idea is it should be a little more salty than the natural salt concentration of your body, because that will help the water to remove toxins via osmotic pressure or concentration gradient. Okay, so we want it just a little bit saltier than our tears, our natural salinity, but we don't want it too salty, because if it's too salty, then it will dry out and burn the sinuses. So taste it, it should be just a little bit salty. You also want the water to be around the same temperature as your body, or just a little bit more. So if you live in a cool environment, you're going to want to warm the body. But make sure you warm it just a little bit, so it's just warm to the touch, because if it's anywhere near hot, you can really damage your sinuses. Just a little bit warm. We also want to make sure that we're using a good quality water source. Just because water is potable doesn't mean that it's a good quality water. Often tap water, while we can drink it, it's purified with a lot of chlorine and other chemicals. So it's better to get a good quality spring water or mineral water, or at least a distilled water that's very clean. Okay, review time. All we need is a Neti Pot, our salt, rock salt or sea salt, non-chlorinated water that's been warmed to our body temperature and just saltier than our tears. With that, we're ready. Once we've prepared our water, fill the neti pot. Make sure there's no undissolved salt in the bottom. This is why I prefer to mix the water in a different vessel. And then find your way. You can stand over a sink, in the shower, in a garden, somewhere where we can pour water out of our nose and it's not going to make a mess. I suggest you start with whichever nostril is open more. And if they're both kind of equal, start on the left side. Then you want to stand erect and you want to lean forward. Try to keep the spine long. Bring the neti pot to whichever nostril you're starting on, and then start to tilt the head until the water runs in the upper nostril and out the lower nostril. If you find the water is running to the back of the throat, tilt your head forward more so that it's not going in the throat, but it's coming out the open nostril. Make sure you're breathing through the mouth here, because if you try to breathe through the nose, it's going to be a drama. So breathing through the mouth, letting the water flow through the nose. Let the water pour through until it's finished. Lightly blow each nostril, then refill your pot and repeat on the other side. You can do one pot on each side or half and half, but make sure that the amount you're doing is equal. For this reason, I prefer to do 2 pots, one on each side. After you've finished, again, blow each nose, then do a couple exhales through the nose to clear both nostrils. And then we want to do the elephant breath to really make sure we get any remaining water out of the sinuses. To perform the elephant breath, we lean forward and we do something like a kapalabhati with a forceful thrusting down of the head to really shake the water out, much like an elephant whipping its trunk back and forth. Do this a few times until you are sure that the sinuses are nice and clear. And wipe your nose and we can be done with that. If you really want to make sure the sinuses are clear, you can conclude with a couple minutes of kapalabhati or breath of fire just to really clean everything out and dry out the nasal passage. So that's Jala Neti. Now I want to share with you a couple tips and secrets to help to open the nostrils, especially if you're finding they're plugged, or when you're doing alternate nostril breathing, one nostril is really plugged. And it can be so frustrating when you're trying to do this and can't breathe. So the first tip, if one nostril is plugged and you're trying to do this pranayama, is you can perform a couple rounds of fast breathing through the nose. So either breath of fire or kapalabhati. And within a few minutes, you should start to notice the energy balancing and both nostrils are opening. If that doesn't work and you're finding one nostril is being particularly stubborn, then there's a secret button that you can press, which will signal to the energy channel to open and will free up that nostril. This button is located just under the armpit in parallel with the breast on the side of the body. And pressing it for just a couple minutes will signal to the energy channel on the opposite side of the body to activate and to open. So if your right nostril is closed, you want to press the button under the left armpit. If the left nostril is closed, you want to press the button under the right armpit. To press this button, make a fist with the opposite hand, then place it under your armpit and squeeze it there with your arm. This is pressing on that button. And in as little as 30 to 60 seconds, you should start to notice the blocked nostril opening. Alternatively, instead of a fist, you can use a ball, or traditionally yogis would use a yogi staff or a yoga danda, which is sort of like a little stick that would go under there and can be used as a prop while you're doing pranayama to make sure the channel is staying open. The reason that this secret button is working is because there's a mechanism within the body to protect us, especially while we're sleeping, to prevent us from suffocating or not breathing well in the night. So as we toss and turn while we're sleeping, whichever side we roll onto, the body will naturally open the energy channels along the opposing side. So if we lay on our left side, the right nostril will open so we can breathe clearly. If we lay on our right side, the left nostril will open. And this is my final tip to help you open the nostrils if one is very blocked. You can lay down on your side with the blocked nostril facing up, and in a couple minutes, that mechanism will signal to activate the energy channel on the side which is facing up, and you should find that nostril opening. Give it a try for yourself and let me know how it goes. If you learned something new in this video, please give it a like so YouTube will share it with others. And let me know in the comment section below if you've done Neti before. What was your experience with it? Let me know if you have any questions. I'll always be happy to answer them however I can. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.